One day, I suddenly realized I could hear the thoughts of my vegetative husband. It's been 2 months already. When can I finally get up? I'm so hungry. I want hot pot, barbecue, spicy hot pot, grilled meat, seafood, and clay pot chicken. As he rambled on, he even started singing. Little cabbage, the field is cold. With money, you can lie in bed. Me, can you keep it down? You're disturbing us healthy folks trying to rest. Holy shit. You can hear me. Quick, quick. Let's chat for 50 cents worth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Javier must be awake, because I'm starting to hear that nagging voice again. The caregiver who wipes my body isn't good. Their movements aren't gentle at all. I wish I could get a different one. What's my wife's name again? She's actually quite good looking. My butt suddenly itches so bad. Someone help me scratch it. I'm gonna throw a tantrum. I was reading a book nearby, but the noise was so unbearable that I reached into the blanket and tickled his butt twice. The room suddenly fell silent. I glanced at Javier, lying on the bed with his eyes closed, his face showing no sign of anything unusual. The next second, my eardrums nearly burst. What's wrong with this woman? Why did she suddenly touch my butt? Holy shit. Does he have some special fetish? Not even sparing a comatose patient. Woo-woo. If only it could be just a little more to the right. It's still so itchy. I frowned and scratched a couple more times to the right, asking impatiently, "Can you please be quiet now? Can you hear me?" I didn't want to engage with him, so I turned away and continued reading my book. The result was, Javier became even more boisterous. I was somewhat speechless. You promised to be a cold-blooded, ruthless demon lord. How did you end up like this? I transmigrated into this book last month, and of all roles, I became the tragic substitute bride of the main villain. The plot of this book can be summed up in one word. Cliché. I am William's illegitimate daughter. Originally, the one who was supposed to marry Javier was the original host's half-sister, also the female lead of this book, Sandy. Unfortunately, Sandy's mother couldn't bear to let her precious daughter marry a vegetative man, so I was the one who ended up marrying him. According to the original plot, after marriage, I spent every day finding new ways to court disaster. During this time, I even hooked up with a minor character, plotting to kill Javier together and abscond with his inherited billions. Unfortunately, Javier woke up, so I quickly logged off. The subsequent plot then revolved around Javier and the love-hate relationship between the male and female leads. Overall, it had little to do with me adopting a "since we're here, let's stay" attitude. I simply remained in the story. I've always preferred tranquility, so being able to read in peace was like a dream come true for me. During the day, I would Javier's hospital room to read, and at night, I'd sleep in the grand villa. I had it all planned out. Javier. Once he woke up, I'd explain everything to him myself and aim for an amicable divorce. Little did I expect that just a few days later, I'd be disturbed by Javier. At first I thought Javier had woken up, and even specifically called the doctor over. Turns out, apart from me, no one else could hear Javier's nonsense. It suddenly occurred to me that when I transmigrated, I vaguely heard someone mention something about a golden finger. My whole body froze. Could my golden finger be the ability to hear the inner thoughts of the vegetative big villain? Then what's the use of this damn finger of mine? Javier held it in for 2 months, but completely let loose after discovering I could hear his thoughts. Are you my partner? I remember the name was Sandy. Sandy is my half-sister. I'm her younger sister Shirley. Oh, I've met your sister. Talks way too much nonsense. Good thing it's not her who's marrying over here. I've got no interest in that scheming green tea girl, and he says she talks too much nonsense. If you ask me, he's the one who talks too much nonsense. I rolled my eyes and hadn't even spoken yet when Javier started whining. Can you do me another favor? His voice trembled slightly. Can you check if there's a mosquito bite on my butt? It's so itchy. I glanced at the man lying on the bed. His skin was fair, his features sharp and cold, with 2 faint creases between his brows, likely from years of frowning. Thinking about what he wanted me to do, my face flushed slightly. Last time, I said, aren't we married? It's just looking at a butt. It's not like. Javier. All right. Last time. It's not like I can move right now. Once I can. Even if you beg me to show you. I won't agree. Unable to listen any longer, I yanked off Javier's blanket, pulling open his hospital gown. I realized that perhaps from lying in bed, Javier's skin had grown even paler. No, it hasn't. A bit lower. You're not even at the right spot yet. No choice. I pulled it down a bit further, half crouching to examine it carefully. At that very moment, the door clicked open. I looked up and found myself face to face with Javier's mom. Even worse. My hand was still shamelessly resting on her son's, but no amount of thick skin could save me now. Auntie. Mom. Javier, his mom's face was even redder than mine. Mom understands. She really does. No. She doesn't understand at all. Javier, this guy couldn't see anything and was still anxiously urging. Why did you stop? Hurry up. Thanks to Javier. Ever since that day, Javier's mom has been surprisingly nice to me. He bought me a gold necklace, then a luxury bag, and occasionally wiped away tears, saying, Our Lin family has wronged you. Even more absurdly, the attending physician specifically came to talk to me. Javier has a high chance of waking up in this condition. There won't be any issues with your intimate life in the future, but at this stage, it's best to exercise some restraint. Restraint. What am I supposed to restrain? Restrain myself from making a cross on the mosquito bite on his butt. He came back with a cold face, and as soon as he pushed the door open, he heard the instigator yelling, Where have you been? I'm so bored alone. I couldn't be bothered to respond to him and picked up my bag to leave. He whined, Why don't you stay here tonight? The nurse's snoring is so loud I can't sleep well. You can choose to sleep alone. That won't do. Hospitals have such heavy energy. I'd be too scared to go alone. My temple twitched as I couldn't help asking curiously, Were you always like this before? Like what? All loud and dramatic. Javier remained silent for a few seconds. I'd rather call myself a cheerful and outgoing guy. How many vegetative patients have you seen with a mindset as positive as mine? He then sighed and added, You should consider yourself lucky to have someone as handsome and good-natured as me for a husband. Ha! Well, my standards for humor aren't that low. Still, I ended up staying the night. It's not because of Javier, but because Javier's mom gave so much that I always feel unworthy of it. Javier actually got shy after finding out I stayed over. He asked me sheepishly, Does this count as our wedding night? It's my first time, so please bear with me if I'm not doing it right. I glanced again at the man lying peacefully on the bed. Has he forgotten he's supposed to be a vegetable? Lying beside Javier. I couldn't fall asleep no matter what. Truth be told, the Lin family's current situation isn't good. Javier's car accident affected the company's stock price, forcing many collaborations to terminate. Many competing companies took the opportunity to kick them while they were down, aiming to completely crush the Lin family, including the protagonist's own family. According to the original plot, Javier did 2 things after being discharged from the hospital. First, he killed me. Then he destroyed the William family. Feeling uneasy, I glanced at the clueless Javier lying beside me. Would he really kill me? Javier seemed to notice my gaze and asked, Am I really that good-looking? How about letting you touch me? I quickly averted my eyes. No need. Thanks. During this period, Javier's mom has been coming to the hospital less and less. No need to ask. It's clear the company's situation is getting worse. Everything seems to be unfolding exactly as described in the original plot. This makes me even more panicked. I take care of Javier with all my heart every day, terrified that one wrong move might get me written off. But despite all the caution, something still went wrong. It started when a media outlet visited the hospital for research, and a nurse accidentally revealed how I had been tirelessly caring for my vegetative husband. After learning the details, the editor-in-chief was deeply moved and immediately published a special feature titled, "Newlywed Couple Meets Tragedy. Wife's Unwavering Devotion to Her Vegetative Husband." The report harshly criticized the modern social phenomenon of young people rushing into and out of marriages, while glorifying the unshakable bond between Javier and me as a positive example of steadfast love. It was just a piece of social news, hardly making any waves, but someone had to include a photo, taken by who knows who. I was sitting by Javier's hospital bed reading a book, with sunlight streaming over us, creating a rather serene and peaceful scene. The photo was uploaded online and immediately sparked discussions among netizens. Holy shit. With a husband this goddamn handsome, I'd stay chaste for him too. This guy looks strangely familiar. Doesn't he look just like the Lemoyne family's group president Javier? I heard he was in a car accident recently. Could he have become a vegetable? Wait. When did he even get married? In the end, hashtags like hashtag Javier married hashtag Javier vegetable hashtag started trending. Seeing the word explosive behind me, I was completely stunned. Who on earth has such a loose tongue? I even gave the hospital a heads up beforehand. Javier's mom looked at Javier with concern in her eyes. Ayuan has always been low-key by nature and hates gossip the most. Now, of all things, it's news about his illness that's being reported. How am I supposed to explain this to him when he wakes up? Meanwhile, the low-key by nature man wasn't idle either. I made it into the newspaper. How do I look in the photo? That nurse too. Couldn't she have helped me put on some makeup or something beforehand? Then with a hint of pride in her tone, look at me. Even though I'm already a vegetable, I still have countless little fans calling me hubby in the comments. Surely, you better feel a bit threatened. Let them have it. I'll let them have it right away. Although the Lin family quickly had someone remove the trending topic, the news that Javier had become a vegetable could no longer be concealed. Numerous media outlets crowded the hospital entrance, demanding interviews. If this continues, I'm afraid the rumors will only multiply. Javier's mom was deeply worried, having aged over a decade in just 2 months. Javier could hear the outside world and said to me, "Go public with the media. Are you really willing?" Rather than hiding the truth, it's better to speak openly about it. I'll leave the role of spokesperson to you. My dear wife. The day before, Javier helped me prepare a speech in the hospital room. It described in detail the entire process of the car accident and the current treatment situation. Although he spoke calmly, my heart still clenched tightly. Was it very painful when that truck came rushing at you? I don't remember. Javier pursed his lips. Actually, I only had one thought at the time. Great. Now I don't have to get married. But in the end, you still got married. His voice carried a hint of laughter. Yeah, thanks to the car accident, someone even more beautiful came along. The press conference was conducted via live online streaming. I finished reading Javier's script, only to suddenly notice the barrage of comments had fallen silent. And the reporters seemed not very interested either. After a moment of hesitation, a reporter finally spoke up. "Ms. Shirley, to be honest, everyone is more curious about your love story with Mr. Javier." Then, the barrage of comments started flying wildly, all asking when Javier and I got together, and whether it was love at first sight. Some even asked R-rated questions like how a vegetative person deals with personal needs. I stole a glance at the man lying beside me, completely unaware, and my face gradually turned red. We just had an arranged marriage. We didn't know each other before, so there wasn't really any emotional foundation. This wasn't a secret in our circle. So the reporter followed up. "Did you ever consider leaving after Mr. Lee got injured?" I shook my head. After all, I'm afraid of death. So may I ask, Mr. Javier, what is the reason that attracts you to stay by his side? I wanted to say, because he's the big villain, the kind who can kill people, but I still pretended to think seriously for a moment. I just feel that he has a quite lively and cheerful personality. When the event ended, I breathed a sigh of relief. Good job, honey. The sound made me shiver all over. And thinking about the reporter's question just now, my face started to turn red again. I mumbled, it wasn't hard. I originally thought the matter had come to an end. Unexpectedly, the next day, #Shirley press conference # was unexpectedly trending on the hot search list again. I felt a bit nervous. Did I make any mistakes during yesterday's interview? Sincere attitude, generous demeanor, especially the heartfelt confession towards me. Rest assured, even I was moved. Netizens have no reason to give you a hard time. I mustered all my courage to click into the topic, only to be greeted by a viral tweet right at the top. Shirley, my husband isn't a big bad wolf. He's the forever sunny boy in my heart. What the hell is this? In the comments, netizens have also gone crazy. Cheerful and outgoing, although I quite like Javier. But is Shirley really talking about him? Help. Shirley, if you're being held hostage, blink twice. This is Javier we're talking about. Ah, am I the only one who thinks the vegetative domineering CEO x delicate young heiress trope is super addictive? I agree with the comment above. That was my first thought too. Then the thread went off topic, with everyone discussing the CP between me and Javier. Some even took advantage of the trend to start a new discussion topic. At night, Javier couldn't sleep and forced me to read fanfiction written by netizens under the topic. After 3 lonely months, Shirley entered the hospital bed and, under the moonlight, pounced on the peacefully sleeping CEO. She simply couldn't hold back any longer. Shirley threw off the blanket and leaped onto Javier. I suddenly paused. Javier urged. And then, what did Shirley do next? Then Shirley pulled back the blanket and carved a cross forcefully on Javier's buttocks. Blushing, she turned off her phone. Close your eyes. Go to sleep. Javier also knew it definitely wasn't written like that. Huffing in annoyance. I'll read it myself when I wake up. It has to be said. The effect of the press conference was unexpectedly good, even unexpectedly boosting the stock price of the Lemoine Families Corporation. Many shippers began investing in the love story of the young heir of the Lemoine Families Corporation. Bought a few items from the Lemoine family to help Shirley conquer the vegetative domineering CEO sooner. If none of you buy, how can our Javier continue being a domineering CEO? Javier can't be a domineering CEO. How can I enjoy the sweet wife literature then? Some netizens even started reviewing products manufactured by the Lemoine family group. I've been buying from the Lemoine family all along. To be honest, the quality surpasses many international big brands. More and more people began to focus on the Lemoine family, inexplicably helping the company weather the crisis. However, while some rejoiced, others worried. As the Lemoine family group rose from the dead, the William family could no longer sit still. Within a few days, Sandy came to find me. Shirley, I just heard the news of your marriage. It's my fault as your sister. The fake sisterly affection gave me goosebumps and brought me to tears. I handed her a tissue. Why are you here? I came to help you. Sandy sniffled and began to explain. My family insisted I marry Javier, so I ran off to America in a fit of anger. But I never expected they'd make you marry him instead. Anyway, as soon as I heard the news, I came back. Shirley, I've always treated you like my own sister. Don't worry. I won't let you marry someone like Javier. I've already talked to Dad, and he agreed to let you divorce Javier. Before I could respond, Javier clicked his tongue beside us. Does she think we're fools? The only reason the Lemoine family managed to recover was because netizens started shipping us as a couple. Now she's urging you to divorce, clearly trying to ruin the Lemoine family. I naturally understand this principle and shook my head. No need. I'm doing quite well now. Don't lie to me. Sandy grabbed my hand urgently. I know you were coerced by the Lin family into saying those things online. Surely. Believe me. Javier is no good. Hey. Speak your mind. But don't resort to personal attacks. All right. Javier was displeased again and muttered to me. This Sandy is not only ugly but also unkind. If this were a fairy tale, wouldn't she be Snow White's evil stepmother? I'm so annoyed. Can you just shut up? Sandy was stunned by my shout, her eyes turning red again. Surely. You don't believe me. I wasn't talking about you. Never mind. Go on. Sandy probably thought she had spoken ill of Javier and that I didn't like hearing it. To strengthen her argument, she exhaled and said, In that case, I won't hide it from you anymore. She cautiously glanced around, making sure no one was nearby before speaking. Javier has violent tendencies. Since he was 6, he set dogs on a servant, crippling their legs. That person is still in a wheelchair to this day. In high school, he even burned a classmate's arm with a cigarette, forcing them to drop out. Since childhood, he's been notorious in their circle as a bully. I glanced at Javier, finding it hard to believe he could do such things. Sure enough, Javier sneered. Back then, my family was supporting disabled people in finding employment. The dog handler was already disabled. As for high school, that chubby kid was showing off his tattoo to me. But when the homeroom teacher caught him, he lied and said I burned his arm with a cigarette. With such a vivid imagination, she should write novels. She'd definitely earn more than she does now. One more thing. Do you know how his father died? Seeing me shake my head, Sandy lowered her voice. He wanted to inherit the family business, so he poisoned his father to death. Then, Javier went crazy. Wife, tell her to wait. I'll summon my old man from his coffin right now to take her away. After Sandy left, Javier was still lying in bed, too angry to speak. Seeing me reading as if nothing had happened, he got upset. Aren't you angry seeing people slander me like that? What kind of lousy wife are you? I wanted to laugh. Sandy should be your wife. If you're unhappy with me, I can help you get her back. So you're saying you want to dump me? Is that what I meant? Javier sounded like a husband who had just caught his wife cheating, his voice loud and exaggerated. Surely. Are you trying to avoid taking responsibility for me? This left me utterly confused. What responsibility? What? Do coma patients have no rights? Can you just look at a coma patient and not take responsibility? Can we just move on from this already? After that day, Sandy never showed up again. But I always felt this matter wasn't over. Sure enough, a few days later, I was stopped by a strange man. Surely. Do we know each other? Are you still mad at me? The man looked somewhat dejected. The reason I didn't take you away before the marriage was because your father threatened me. You know my family situation. I couldn't risk my mother's safety. This statement jogged my memory a bit, and I strained to recall the original plot. Are you, Levi? You're finally willing to talk to me. Great. The scumbag who egged me on to elope and ultimately caused my tragic death has also shown up. Now Javier has been bedridden for 4 months. According to the timeline, it's about time for him to wake up soon. I don't want any complications at this critical juncture. I took half a step back and said, Sorry, but I'm already married. Please don't come looking for me again. I thought my rejection was clear enough. But Levi actually started frequently appearing around the hospital to ambush me. Between the lines, it was a plea for reconciliation. Your sister told me you're not happy at all now. That day, Levi followed me all the way to the ward on the top floor and burst in. Your father has agreed to let us be together. The biggest obstacle between us is gone. Surely. I don't believe you've forgotten me so quickly. As he spoke, he actually pulled me into his embrace. I'm willing to take you away, to a city where no one knows us, and we can start over. Are you out of your mind? I was about to push him away when suddenly I heard Javier's voice. Getting so intimate even in a hospital. You two really have quite the taste for romance. Levi abruptly pushed me away. Sensing something was wrong, I turned around to see the man who had been lying on the bed now sitting up. Why did you stop? Did I wake up at a bad time? Interrupting you too. So this is Javier himself speaking. My heart was pounding wildly as I rushed to his bedside. You're awake. Are you feeling any discomfort anywhere? Javier calmly put some distance between us. No need for Miss Lee's concern. You'd better settle your personal matters first before discussing divorce proceedings with me. Javier woke up. My golden finger disappeared along with it. He doesn't remember anything that happened during his vegetative state. That experience feels like it was just my imagination. At this moment, doctors gathered in the ward, conducting various examinations on Javier. All bodily functions are normal. Congratulations, Mr. Javier. You'll be able to be discharged soon. The doctor relaxed with a smile. And congratulations to MS. Shirley as well. The waiting period is finally over. Javier frowned upon hearing this. What waiting period? The doctor, probably thinking we had a particularly good relationship, spoke without hesitation. Your wife tried to pull down your pants while you were asleep. I told her to be patient and wait a little longer. She even winked at me and said, "Don't worry. We've checked everything for your husband. Everything's perfectly normal." Hearing this, I felt completely embarrassed. Why does this doctor have such a loose tongue? I hurriedly explained. It's not what you think. Javier glanced at me and said, Miss Lee Eyre's preferences are truly diverse. Javier, the first thing he did upon waking was summon the company assistant to the hospital to inquire about the company's status. Thanks to your wife, the company is running smoothly. My mother. No. Your wife. The assistant handed over the phone and played the video from that day's press conference. After watching it, Javier's hands were trembling, looking at me with anger in his eyes. Who gave you permission to hold such a press conference and spout such nonsense? Originally, I hadn't said a word, but hearing this, I couldn't help but feel displeased, given that the news of the injury had already been leaked. Do you think I shouldn't have held this press conference? Javier opened his mouth but couldn't find the words. Then I asked him again, during the press conference, did you find an issue with the event description in my speech draft? Or was there a problem with how your personality was portrayed during the QA session with reporters? Javier remained silent. I raised an eyebrow. If neither was a problem, then what exactly is your issue now? Javier probably encountered a rebuttal for the first time. After a long pause, he snorted and said, sharp-tongued. I mimicked his cold snort and retorted, kick down the ladder. /span. I don't want to stay in the same room with him anymore. So I plan to leave first. Before leaving, I suddenly thought of something and pulled out a stack of papers from my bag. Here. Take this. I originally planned to use it to lull you to sleep tonight. But since you're already awake, you can read it yourself. What is it? I flipped open the first page and pointed at the title. Report. Madam. The CEO has turned into a vegetative state again. Watching Javier's suddenly stiffened face, I snorted softly. Serves you right. Perhaps triggered by the fanfiction, I didn't see Javier for several consecutive days. We didn't meet again until a week later. He stormed towards me angrily. So this was your clever scheme all along. I look at the big boss who's been acting like a pufferfish every day since he woke up and feel a bit speechless. What scheme are you up to now? He tosses out a stack of photos. I pick them up and glance at them, unable to help but frown. They were all of me and Levi. There were shots of our first meeting outside the hospital, of Levi lingering around the hospital, and even one of him forcibly hugging me. However, the photo was taken from an extremely tricky angle, somehow creating a somewhat sweet atmosphere. Only then did I realize Sandy and their plan. Since the divorce failed, they deliberately used Levi to fabricate the false appearance of me cheating, aiming to destroy the popularity previously built by the CP hype. I still vividly remember how the original owner died. And now seeing Javier's gloomy expression, I started to panic a bit. The photo is fake. I'm stuck with you every day. When would I have time to secretly meet a man? Being pestered by me. I abruptly shut my mouth. Javier sneered. Now you can't even bother to lie convincingly. Are you so sure I can't do anything about you? I really couldn't stand Javier's daily sarcastic attitude anymore. Javier, are you two-faced? You don't really think that way in your heart. So why do you insist on saying such hurtful things? You were clearly happy about being in the newspaper. You follow those fanfictions more diligently than anyone else. You were obviously jealous when Levi showed up. And you don't actually want to divorce me at all. Why do you have to pretend to be like this? It's really annoying. Surely. Who fed you that nonsense? You told me. You feed me nonsense every day. I glared at him. Believe it or not. With that, I walked away too. Javier stood there waiting for a moment. And when he saw that I really had no intention of turning back, he also got angry. What did I say? How are you still mad? Putting everything else aside, isn't it reasonable for a husband to ask for an explanation when he sees his wife in such intimate photos with another man? I couldn't be bothered with him. Come talk to me again when you've corrected your attitude as a husband. Although Javier and I had a conflict, we both knew what kind of storm would erupt online once those photos were exposed. The public is the easiest group to incite. Some people don't care about the truth at all. They only believe what they want to know. Recently, Javier has been leaving early and returning late every day. Swamped with work. I haven't been idle either. I hired someone to investigate Levi's personal information. And a few days later, there were indeed results. The person directly hacked into Levi's computer and obtained his financial transactions. Half a month ago, Sandy transferred $1 million to Levi's personal account, after which he began tracking your movements. I've also put the hospital surveillance footage you wanted on a USB drive, which proves you never responded to Levi's harassment. I waited until very late. Javier finally came home. I need to talk to you about Levi's matter. I followed him into the study and took out the documents in my hand. Here's the stalking video of Levi, and the transfer records from William's family to him. Can this prove my innocence? But after waiting for a long time, Javier showed no reaction. I looked up to find this person staring straight at me, their gaze somewhat unfocused. I leaned in to take a sniff. Have you been drinking? Javier curled his thumb and index finger slightly. Just a tiny bit. Confirmed. Definitely drunk. I gathered the things on the table. Get some rest early. I'll come find you tomorrow. As I finished speaking and turned to leave, Javier stood up and grabbed me. You're so mean. His eyes looked as if they were soaked in water, appearing pitifully aggrieved. Why are you angry every day? Wasn't it you who's been angry every day? Mr. Lin, always unhappy. Obviously. He wasn't listening to my explanation at all. You took photos with another man. That was fake. You even let him hug you. I pushed him away. I don't care. You're my wife. I haven't even hugged you yet. How dare he hug you first? After saying this, Javier came over and gave me a bear hug, then rubbed his face against my cheek, sighing contentedly. So fragrant. Drunk. Javier was clearly more honest. He followed me into the bedroom clutching a pillow, insisting on sleeping with me. No. I kicked the man who had shamelessly taken up half my bed. Get off. We're married. Why can't I sleep here? You'll regret this tomorrow. No. I won't. In the end, I didn't kick him out because I was extremely curious about Javier's expression after sobering up. It was bound to be priceless. The next day, as expected, I wasn't disappointed. Javier opened his eyes looking like the sky had fallen. What's going on here? Propping my head up, I said cheerfully. Mr. Javier was the one who climbed into bed in the middle of the night. You're asking me what's going on. I should be the one asking you. Sighing, I continued, just as they say online. Men can't be trusted. Who would have thought that the impeccably dressed Mr. Javier during the day would resort to such sneaky behavior at night. Javier's face gradually stiffened. It was an accident. Classic cheater's line. I get it. Today I'll ask the locksmith to change my room's lock. So you can't just barge in and blame me for it. Javier left with a face so dark it could drip water. The heart that had been stifled for nearly half a month finally cleared up. However, there were also drawbacks. After that day, I became like a monster to him. Javier would avoid me whenever he saw me. Several times I wanted to talk to him about the investigation, but he coldly shut me out each time. Even Javier's mom noticed something was off and came to ask me, "Did you and Ayuan have a fight?" After hesitating, I asked, "Mom, have you ever noticed that Javier's personality seems a bit strange? Like sometimes he's quite lively, but other times he's very gloomy. It's unpredictable." Javier's mom remained silent for a long time before finally speaking. "Actually, Ayuan has an older brother." I was taken aback. This was news to me. The book didn't mention much about the antagonist's family background. All I knew was that Javier came from a wealthy family. After his father passed away from illness, he inherited the family business and quickly became a rising young talent. When he was little, Javier wasn't like this. He was lively and active, always climbing trees and getting into mischief. Ayuan's older brother, on the other hand, had a calm and steady personality. Originally, his father and I planned for his brother to take over the company, letting Ayuan grow up freely. But unexpectedly, Javier at the age of 8, Javier lost his older brother. That year we took them out to play when a sudden storm hit. Ayuan was swimming in the sea, and his brother was swept away while trying to save him. After that, Ayuan completely changed. Out of guilt, he forced himself to grow up overnight. Gradually, he became like his brother. So the inner voices I heard are truly what Javier is like. Javier's mom had tears in her eyes as she held my hand. At that time, we were all immersed in the grief of losing our eldest son and didn't notice Yuan acting strangely. By the time we realized, it was already too late. "Surely, I can sense you're special in Yuan's heart. If you also have some affection for my son, could you help him?" Javier's mom's words made me think deeply after returning. Do I have any affection for him? At first, I thought there wasn't any. Getting close to Javier was entirely plot-driven. Pleasing Javier was purely for self-preservation. But when did it start to change? Maybe it was when Javier kept chatting with me. Or perhaps when he said, "Thanks, wifey," to me. During this time Javier has become a different person. Yet I can't help but uncontrollably think of the Javier from back then. I wonder if that Javier were to wake up, would he act spoiled with me? Would he pester me to keep him company? Until that night Javier got drunk, hugged me tightly and said he missed me so much. My long-suspended heart finally settled. Actually, I wanted to tell him too. I missed him so much as well. Does this kind of feeling count as love? That night, I deliberately waited until very late. Javier only went to his bedroom with my pillow after he came home. "Is there something you need?" "Nothing. Just looking to sleep with you. Don't push your luck." I curved the corners of my eyes. I'd rather call this reciprocity. Javier curled his lips in a mocking smile. "Surely, do you not understand your position? You're just a substitute bride. We'll part ways once the public scrutiny dies down. So what you're saying is, you want Sandy to accompany you instead." Suddenly enlightened, I pulled out my phone. "Then I'll call her for you right now." True to my word, I started dialing. "Sis, it's Shirley," Javier said. Before I could finish speaking, Javier lunged over and snatched my phone away. Glancing at my blackened screen, I realized I'd been tricked. I took the opportunity to wrap my arms around Javier's waist. Blinking, the doctor was right. Then lowering my voice, "You've indeed recovered very well." In that instant, Javier's face flushed bright red, and he was speechless for a long moment. He stiffly walked to the bathroom and slammed the door shut with force. I burst out laughing. At that moment, I finally realized I like him. I just fell in love with Javier. Having clarified my feelings, I didn't hold back and went to find him almost every other night. At first, he was reserved and pretended to shoo me away. Later, he just gave up and let me do whatever I wanted. I wasn't feeling well that day and lay in my bedroom without wanting to move. Unexpectedly in the evening, Javier came over on his own, looking at my furrowed brows. He said, "Shirley, are you best at giving up halfway?" This remark was completely baffling. It took me a moment to realize Javier was actually hinting at me. Aunt Flo is here, feeling unwell, taking a day off. As the words fell, the bedroom door slammed shut with a bang. It gave me a fright. I feel a bit upset inside. After all, we're somewhat in a bedmate relationship. What's with the harsh attitude? But before even a few minutes had passed, the door opened again. Javier walked in expressionlessly, holding a soft pink thermos in his hand. Brown sugar water. He placed it stiffly on the nightstand and said, "My mom asked me to give this to you." "Oh, well, thank your mom for me." Javier stood there looking at me for a moment, then pursed his lips and left again. I waited until midnight, lying in bed watching a show. When the door opened again, at a glance, it was still Javier. "When you're not feeling well, you shouldn't stay up late." I finally got annoyed and couldn't help retorting, "Did your mom say that too?" Javier didn't reply. He simply walked over, took my iPad away, bent down, and scooped me up, blanket and all, into his arms. "What are you doing?" He didn't say a word, walking straight back to his bedroom, then placed me on the side where I usually slept, and said expressionlessly, "Close your eyes. Sleep." Why does this sound so familiar? Isn't this exactly what I often say when putting him to sleep? I have to admit, my sleep companion strategy has indeed taken effect. I could clearly sense Javier's change in attitude toward me, although he didn't talk as much nonsense as during his vegetative state. At least he now behaved like a normal person. Just as life was getting smoother, photos of me and Levi were still exposed. And what added fuel to this incident was Sandy. She gave an interview to the media before I did. Facing the camera, she cried pitifully, "I'm the one who wronged Shirley. She married Javier in my place. If I hadn't been so willful and run away from the wedding, she wouldn't have been separated from the person she loved, nor would she have married Javier. If you want to blame anyone, blame me, not my sister." Netizens were completely shocked. A substitute bride. Is this something that happened in the 21st century? The wealthy families are too chaotic. Marketing is so disgusting. Even this kind of superficial couple can be packaged as a CP, earning money from netizens, then going their separate ways. For a moment I don't know who to feel sorry for. I'd better save my sympathy for myself. The money I spent shipping this CP has now become my tears. Soon after, #boundless abyss bad ending #Shirley substitute bride #trended. And even #Sandy got dragged onto the hot search list by association. And just like that, I became thoroughly infamous. People online have come up with new ways to insult me. A bastard is always a bastard. I just think Sandy is graceful and poised. Unlike Shirley, I can't help but feel a bit conspiratorial. Shirley's substitute marriage seems like a self-directed act, just a ploy to marry into wealth. She played her cards well, married a vegetative husband, got the money, won the fame, and still got to flirt with her little lover. Who knew the husband would wake up? LOL. Javier walked over and took my phone away. Stop looking. I'm fine. I just think it's quite interesting. I'm just an ordinary person. How could I possibly deserve to be ridiculed by the entire internet now? I didn't handle it well. Javier sat down beside me. I'll help you prepare a clarification statement and organize all the timelines. If necessary, we can hold another press conference. Did you also prepare the speech? Yeah. I thought for a moment and shook my head. Forget it. I don't want to face the camera anymore. Javier remained silent for a while before saying, Don't worry. This time your husband will personally be the spokesperson for the press conference. At the time, I didn't realize anything was odd about it. After a few minutes, I went over the conversation again in my head and finally realized. Javier, have you remembered something? Remember what? Javier didn't look up, keeping his eyes on the computer. You mean the cross thing? He actually remembered. I was both shocked and delighted. Standing up. When did you remember? Javier finally stopped what he was doing, a hint of helplessness in his eyes. After that drunken time. It's been such a long time. Then why didn't you tell me? And kept waiting for me to come sleep with you every night. He looked embarrassed. I came looking for you too. I gritted my teeth and unilaterally decided to give him the cold shoulder. Javier pulled me onto him as he stood up. I'm sorry, wifey. He lowered his voice. Your husband has some pride too. Thinking back to that time, I couldn't help but laugh again and snorted. The things you did were pretty shameless. To be honest, all the evidence was organized chronologically and posted online. The exposure left Sandy with almost no room for rebuttal. After discussion, Javier and I jointly held an online press conference to explain the entire incident to netizens. A reporter asked, Is the proxy marriage incident real? Javier didn't avoid the question. It's true. His voice was cool. The engagement with the William family was arranged by our parents. But I had no affection for Sandy. So I intended to refuse. I just didn't expect an accident to happen before it was resolved. My mother, out of concern for her son, wanted to use a happy event to counteract the misfortune. So she discussed with the William family to advance the wedding. Of course, the William family was unwilling to marry their daughter to a vegetative patient. So they had my current wife, Shirley, marry me instead. Javier smiled. I am very grateful to my parents-in-law for making this decision, allowing me to find the person I truly love. What do you love about your wife? Javier pondered for a moment before speaking word by word. Kind and upright. Wise yet cunning. Each word uttered seemed to carry countless stories within. The reporter was moved by Javier's gaze, momentarily speechless for a few seconds before turning to me and asking, Ms. Shirley, we actually asked you the same question before. I'm curious now that Mr. Javier has woken up. Has your answer changed? I smiled and shook my head. No. What I love will always be the lively and cheerful Javier. The truth came to light. The William family was once again criticized and trended on social media. Later, someone followed the clues and uncovered an economic dispute, which dragged the original protagonist's father into a lawsuit. Initially, Javier's deliberate suppression, combined with the shift in public opinion later on, the William family's business never recovered from then on. I couldn't help but feel a bit regretful. The protagonist was supposed to be Sandy. How did things end up like this? Is this the villain's victory? Only now did I belatedly realize a problem. Sandy is the female lead. So who's the male lead? Why do I feel like I have no memory of this at all? Sandy is getting married. That day Javier came home with a bombshell announcement. Who is it? ZS Enterprises boss. ZS Group. It sounds like a major corporation. I guess the male lead must have appeared. So I couldn't help but ask. He must be quite handsome, right? After all, he's the male lead. Javier glanced at me, casually opened his phone and flipped through someone's social media feed. This one. I stared at the photo of a balding, pot-bellied man who looked at least 60 years old. You must be mistaken. That's an old man. William's family situation isn't optimistic. Having an old man willing to marry her at this point is already fortunate. I refuse to give up. Does he have a son? Like a really handsome one. After all, stepmother-themed romance is quite popular these days. But then Javier's face darkened. So even a vegetative husband can't satisfy you anymore. And now you're eyeing someone else's son's ass. That's not what I meant. I'm being serious. Before I could finish speaking, Javier pounced on me. The room suddenly fell silent. I wasn't even thinking about it in the first place. Couldn't be bothered with him. I rolled my eyes. Javier leaned over. Honey, there's something I've actually been quite curious about. The first time I asked you to look at my butt, what did you feel? I thought back for a moment. A smile crept onto my lips. White. Really white. Just like a big white steamed bun. Javier. The end.